All right, good Wednesday morning to you, everybody. Let's get this day started. Tell you what to expect and look for today. We have had already this morning some noisy thunderstorms working their way through the area, all well under severe limits, but loud thunder booms, some heavy downpours, plenty of lightning to get you going on this Wednesday. What do you guys think about this week so far? It's been one of the most interesting, one of the most fascinating since I have been bringing you guys weather coverage, and we have a lot to talk about for the rest of this week. So today's sponsor bringing us the weather, State Line Group. Rock, dirt, sand, moving the ground you build on. I encourage you to hop on their Facebook page, State Line Group of Hume, Missouri. Lots of different projects, different equipment, lots of different things that they can do. Have been sending people their way for storm shelters. Keep them in mind for that. Always a prime time to talk about that this time of year. And it's awesome just to have a local vendor taking part in that, providing those services to our area, sponsoring today's forecast. So, well, let's talk about last night first. We'll go back and look at the radar this morning. You guys can see with me what is going on this morning. All of this activity is going to push off to the east, northeast. I think that last night was a classic example of how things are this week. It's also a kind of a good reminder to everybody that gets frustrated, because I certainly do. How do you make plans? How do I know when I'm going to be on here live talking to you guys and not? So forecasting in severe weather season is all about probabilities. And it's all about the ingredients. These severe storms take several ingredients. Everybody has a little different opinion on which alignment of the ingredients is all necessary, but basically there are four things that have to be in place really for us to get severe weather like we are talking about here in the Midwest. And so sometimes we have a strong probability that some of those ingredients will be there, other times strong probability that they all will be there. And so all that we can do is paint the picture, give you the probabilities. I think most people know this. We just get really focused in because technology and forecasting has come so far that we kind of expect to be really, really close. So last night was one of those nights where most of the ingredients actually looked to be there. And there was a time coming together late afternoon that I really thought it was going to fire because all those ingredients were coming into alignment. So you'll remember that I was posting about 7 o'clock where we're going to look down in southeast Kansas. And right about 7 o'clock, it was trying. But then the dry line pulled back and a couple of other things. And I was just like, I don't know. I'm not feeling it. And so by 8:30, we were just done. Everything had fallen apart. So everything was still there for it to happen. It just didn't align. So that may happen again. That's the vein that I do things in. I think you guys can tell if you've been following me for any length of time. I like to just tell you what the possibilities are and why, but not ever claiming to be certain. So with that in mind, here is what I think about today. So last night, like I say, wasn't quite sure everything was going to come together. Today, I am a little bit more confident that we are going to see thunderstorms. What I am not confident about is when. And I don't feel too bad in telling you that because lots of very reliable, high resolution, National Weather Service data that's out there this morning has been changing by the hour. So where the cold front is, which is what's in front of you on the surface chart, and that surface low, models are really struggling to decide how that's going to work. So when you have that many very reliable models with their different biases trying to figure it out and being that different, we have to look at why. And so I am confident that we see thunderstorms today. I am not at all confident in when. That's kind of the evolution of today. So I think that's kind of the bottom line if you're looking to get through the day. I think we're going to pay attention to this afternoon, middle of the afternoon on. It could even be early afternoon. It really could. But I'm a little bit more confident in middle of the afternoon on. And that is because we have this cold front that's going to work its way into the area. So in terms of lift, which is a mechanism for thunderstorms, that's pretty reliable. So we didn't have that set up yesterday. Well, we did, but not quite with everything else. So it's a little bit more reliable in terms of thunderstorm development today as this cold front pushes through. So I wanted to go ahead and bring that up. So like I say, this week we could still see absolutely anything. But let's go ahead and talk about our severe weather outlooks. They are out there for today. We are in that 2 out of 5 slight risk area for today. So tornado threat, because I think that when things get started, whenever that is today, I do think we have, again, the potential for those small, discrete, potentially supercells which we know all about in west central Missouri now. So that probability is there this afternoon as well, as is severe wind, as is severe hail, and then we get a break from things tomorrow. So actually get a nice solid break from things. And the weekend looks cool and dry. Spoiler alert, if I forget to mention that as well. Need to talk about Friday, because I am seeing lots of social media chatter. It's normal for this time of year about how far in advance we know about these things, and being responsible, making preparations, taking precautions. So all I can do is put as much information out there as early as I can. So today's Wednesday. We're talking about Friday. So just kind of put that in your mind. This is kind of rare from the Storm Prediction Center, not in terms of now, but yesterday we were seeing all this information. That's pretty rare and early from the Storm Prediction Center. We're already in a 3 out of 5 enhanced risk. And what is behind that is a 30 to 44% chance of severe weather for all of our area. So, again, just kind of let that soak in for Friday. When I talk about all of those conditions possibly being there, they really look to come together on Friday. So again, things could change, but probabilities looking up for Friday. So I'll keep you posted on that. For me, it comes down to this. I want to go through the upper level winds because I think this is important. One of the things last night is this, I pay attention to the mid-level winds, which is what we're looking at here. And, last night, the trough, and I talk about that sometimes with you guys, started to tilt off to the northeast, which typically brings us rain events, maybe some small embedded thunderstorms. When we have a negatively tilted trough, which I was talking about the other day, and I got some questions asking me to explain that. So here is a trough that's digging in, looking for Friday across the Intermountain West here. It's going to eject out into the Central Plains. So if I was going to draw a line through the axis of this trough, which is like the deepest point if you look at the black lines, right? If I was going to draw a straight line, which direction would that line lead? So you guys can see this morning it's going to lean right, which is going to be to the northeast. So that's what we call a positively tilted trough. We're worried about rain. Well, watch what happens as it affects our region as it digs in. So it's digging into the Midwest. Right here, I honestly can't tell. I was up early this morning. I was like, well, is that positive? Is that negative? I don't know. Looks like an optical illusion. So it's kind of right in the middle. It's neutral. And then as it swings across our area, I do think it does take a negative tilt. You guys can see it. If I was going to draw that line again, it's going to lean off to the left. So, that is one main reason for all of this concern. Negatively tilted troughs are often associated with severe weather. And so when will it take that negative tilt? Will this hang out? Will it do it at all? Right. But when will it do that? Will it affect our area or possibly points to the east? So it's just it's one thing to keep an eye on, right? But it's going to drag a strong cold front with it. We know that. And so ingredients, like I say, lining up kind of nicely for Friday. Okay, talk about something other than severe storms. How much rain are we going to get? So I have this dialed up all the way through Saturday. So through Saturday, I'm seeing like 1.2 inches in Kansas City. Could be as high as 1.5 inches. In Bates County, over in Clinton, 1.6 points of eastern Kansas, around 1.5 inches. So I'm going to settle on that. 1.5 inches of rainfall left to go between now and Saturday, which looks cool and dry. So warm and humid continues to do the buzz. So look at that cold front again. Another factor that keeps us looking at Friday night over into Saturday. Want to go ahead and point out. Just one second. Got to put temps back up for you first. Want to go ahead and point out that Sunday morning. There we go. Wrong button. Want to go ahead and point out that Sunday morning, 35 degrees possibility. Been talking about that for a couple of days, but overall the weekend is cool and dry. We start to rebound back up into the 70s for next week. So that is what I know with you this morning. So again, bottom line for today, we do have a risk of severe weather. I do think we see thunderstorms. I do think we see possibly small discrete cells that could turn into supercells. Or we could have just thunderstorms. This morning's activity factors into that. How cloudy it will remain today is one factor in that, but I still think we see thunderstorms, just not 100% sure when today. So we're paying attention from mid-afternoon on. Get a break tomorrow before possibly a bigger show on Friday. Have a great day.